All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back with more Walking Dead Season 11. Now, since they're breaking these up into kind of pods that are timed out for different sections of the year, this would be kind of like the penultimate of this pod, right? This is episode 7. It's called Broken Promises. So if you like what we're doing here on the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that jazz. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you are new, welcome to the conversation here as we dive in. And again, yeah, I want to thank everybody who watches these. The Walking Dead content out there is just over the rim, filled, just overflowing with people who talk about this show still. So if you find this and like this, I really appreciate the like and subscribe that you give. All right, so man, there's good things and bad things in everything. And, as much as I will come down on this show at times, there's other reasons to praise it, and other reasons to be positive about it, especially going into this final season. But then there's those times where you just see the same thing over and over again, which after of any show could be, it's real easy to just kind of run into those ruts, especially in a show where you've basically seen and done everything. Where do you go from here? And when you have spin-off shows like Fear the Walking Dead and The World Beyond, they're doing even crazier stories. So, like if there was just The Walking Dead and then they started, they could probably have taken some of those plot lines like Zombie Tornado, which was whatever. But I feel like the Walking Dead main show has still stayed pretty... they haven't, jumped the shark to me. They haven't had a plot that just goes too zany like some of the other shows have done. Like, just too crazy. Like, Fear the Walking Dead has become bananas. This show, for a show about a zombie apocalypse, still stays pretty down to earth and more about character and the people that we've grown with, to like or hate throughout all these years, the ones that are still left. But there's still problems. But like I said, there's some interesting stuff here too to talk about. So the stuff that's the least interesting in this episode is Daryl and Leah. But that's close. It's close because the Maggie Negan stuff was almost there, but they're starting to do something a little different. I still feel like we're headed to the same conclusion here. Whether or not we'll be carrying over the Maggie Negan problems into next year, it's starting to feel like we will. And then the Commonwealth is a whole other thing, and we'll talk about that last because it's the more interesting plot to me. So Daryl, well, first off, Pope's group, these Reapers, right? And we've talked about this, but every time they're on screen and it's like, how did these people, I know that they're military trained, first off, okay? But they're not a big group. They're calling, they keep being referred to as a community. There's barely any people. That's not a community. That is a few people that were very well trained and are holding a position and are just killing anyone that could possibly take that position from them. Like anywhere else. Like she says, we needed a place, we found one, we took it, you can fill in the gaps, and we're basically just making sure that nobody tries to take it from us. Which is what I think a lot of in this unit is kind of happens. I think that this people, like if you even look at the camps and stuff, like people just ransack, you find something, you try to take it. In the video game, they're like the first Walking Dead Telltale game. There's a big choice of you find a car. It's full of stuff. Do you take it? Clearly there's people nearby. You know. But that's the mentality in this new world. You know, it's kill or be killed, take or be taken. You know, like. Um, but he's got a point. I mean, he's like, you know, you just keep killing people, and then what? You're good again. But see, again, a lot of this is a matter of perspective. And we get that in Maggie's story, and that's what I like about her arc in this, her and Negan's part of this episode. I mean, there's just not much, again, to say about Daryl's thing. They're just still walking around. He's trying to keep his cover. He's trying to find the best time to tell her the truth, which, let's face it, what do we really think is going to happen when she finally knows for sure where his loyalties lie? It's not going to end good. And when they find the family, first off, how did those three people survive this long on their own with a kid that she would have had to have given birth to somewhere along the way? And then now the wife is killed by Daryl because she's mortally wounded, and the son and him just take off. Which then she goes, oh my god, like, it didn't seem to be that hard of a choice at the time, but it seems like when she says, you know, they never would have left me, but boy, they booked out of there without a tear, hardly. I don't know. It's just finding these people just by themselves, and I know that everybody has a story or whatever, but they just seem soft. These people seem soft. And I just don't buy that they were out there surviving on their own. I just don't. Maybe they were part of a bigger community. You know, we will never know. But Daryl's the one who makes the shot. I knew this was going to happen. Because this is that character moment that Leah needed to prove that she's not that far gone. Even though I'm pretty sure she is. I just don't think we've ever seen her do the bad stuff. She didn't want to shoot a woman in the face with a shotgun. That's something that anyone should have a hard time doing, and if at all. But right before Daryl is going to tell her the truth, like clockwork, like plot clockwork, she gets a call to come back. And then he just doesn't tell her. Because we can't. Because the plot demands that we drag this on. I think everything will come to a head probably in the last episode of this year, next week. I think a lot of things are going to come up. But that's the Daryl Leah story. The Reapers are boring. To be honest, if it wasn't the fact that Lynn Collins plays Leah, I wouldn't care about her character. Daryl, you know, we're supposed to care that Daryl cares for her, but she's flat out, you know, I don't know. I just don't care about their side of things. Because again, perspective, we've been following around our group. I don't really care about other groups' perspectives. Now, talking about perspective is a big part of Maggie and Negan's story. And Gabriel, because he's, again, you know, there's a bit of a broken record. Maybe that's putting it mildly for this part of the thing. Negan wants to leave. Negan wants to go home. Complain. They've only had him just complain this whole time and bitch and moan. There's smarter writing than this. Negan's a smarter character than this. We're going around and round in circles, and one of the things I fucking hate is when people are spinning their wheels. Whether you're a YouTube reviewer who just keeps talking about the same damn thing over and over and over again for views and likes and subscribes, or if you just see something normally, like it's that the insanity definition, right? You know, if you do something over and over and over again and expect the same, you know, something different to happen. I hate spinning wheels, and here we are just spinning them in the dirt like somebody trying to get their car out of the mud and not going anywhere. We aren't going anywhere with this. it is just he complains and she pushes back, and we start to, he says, like, I'm going to leave and you're going to be down a soldier. And she's like, we don't need you, which is a stupid thing to say because she knows that, we know that she needs him and he knows that. And so it's just an excuse for him to say, yeah, well, that's bullshit. You know that's not true. I did really like when he says, like, I want you to make a promise in front of the goddamn priest. Like, I love that Gabriel's just kind of standing there and using, like, blaspheming and stuff and just... This was a very Negan moment, the way he talked. Again, if they just let him fucking swear, man. Come on. We see so many people get, walkers get their fucking heads cut off and just things splattered, but you can't say fuck. Can't say fuck to the children in the audience. They can watch things, the heads get splattered all over the place. People get stabbed to death and eaten and everything else, guts ripped out. Don't say fuck. Because fucking is immoral. Well, he makes her make a promise. Well, he doesn't make her, but he asks her to make a promise that if I do this, we're even. She's like, we'll never be even, which, no, they will never be even. But that they're both people who can keep their word, possibly. And this is where Negan's idea of things he learned from the Whisperers, which is to, take the faces and blend in, create a mini herd, and go to these people like the Whisperers would. And Gabriel goes scouting ahead to see where these people are, if they can find them. Which he does, and he sees like their version of a priest, I guess, the Reaper version of a priest, the military priest. And he gets real close to killing him and then does nothing and then lies about it later. See anybody? No. Come on. Gabriel. Again, the writing is so uneven sometimes with these characters. They all, like, why are they hiding things from each other? Why are they, like, these people all know, it's just, I know in real life we keep things to ourselves. But I just don't buy some of this stuff. I don't, like, why would he, like, oh, I'm ashamed, or some crap. Don't write it like that. Well, after some doing, Negan gives her a mask that fits. She stops tripping, stops being frustrated. And again, it's just more of, he's saying good things. He's saying positive things. You're doing good, blah, blah, blah. Then comes the moment where, they're talking about whether he's changed. That they can't know that unless, and there's always going to be something in it for him. And that she hopes she can keep the promise that she made. And I'm just like, liar, liar. Like, she don't want to keep that promise. She doesn't want to keep that promise. Every breath she takes, and this isn't, she isn't wrong. If somebody killed my significant other right in front of me, I'd be looking for the opening at any chance I could get. But they start comparing tactics, right? She starts talking about their community and his community. He brings up, well, where'd Aaron get Gracie? You think I didn't know about that? So she's like talking about how there weren't any kids at the satellite station and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but these people had friends and families and girlfriends and boyfriends. And, Maggie sees themselves as the good guys that were on the defensive, and Negan's looking at it from the leader standpoint of, I had to do something for my people. I had to protect my people. They see me failing. I'm failing them. I put this group together. We are trying to survive in our way, and you can't appreciate. It's like soldiers on opposite sides of, sorry if you hear that giant shotgun blast sneezing upstairs. Yeah, sorry, it's distracting. Gotta pause now. But she asks him if he would do anything different if he had the chance. Would he, if he could go back, would he change things? And this is where they show this in the trailer, but they leave out what he really says. They make it sound like he's like, yeah, I would have done things differently. And you're like, oh, wow, man. He goes, no, but I would have killed all of you. I would have killed every fucking one of you. And she's like, well, why would you say that? Why would you say that to me? He's like, because we're being honest with each other. We have to be honest with each other. Like, we're all doing this to protect the people. Here we are now. This is what we're doing. There's less things to save, less people to protect, less things to protect. He's not meaning that he's going to turn. He's like, but this is what happened, but that's what I would have done if things were different. I wouldn't have given anyone mercy. Like, if he, knowing now what he knew, he's saying, like, I know what I did wrong, how I failed. Now I would have just, if I could go back in time, yeah, but it didn't, and he knows it. So they end up making their way to the Reapers. And that's where why Daryl's being called back, why Leah's being called back, because Maggie has found her mini herd, and they're walking out to confront these guys. And on the way, Elijah sees like his sister, daughter, whoever the fuck it is. I don't care. I don't care about Elijah. Sorry, everybody. He's another just character thrown in here that I'm supposed to care about, and I don't. He starts crying, and the only thing I could think was, oh, great, he's going to blow it. Going to have this guy blow it. But she holds his hand, and he doesn't. Also, I don't think she knows that she doesn't have to be directly out front. That's where the arrows and the shots are going to start coming from first. You're going to be the first one shot. Now, I know that they won't be because of plot. Maybe Elijah takes one in the dome. I don't know, but, you know. So let's get to the real meat of this. And I wish I hadn't taken 16 minutes to get this far, because we got to talk about the Commonwealth. First off, Stephanie's hot. I don't usually, talk about the attractiveness of characters and how I think about them. But the actress who plays Stephanie is hot. She got a real Lisa Loeb thing going on with those glasses, except like, more. But they're out there working out their debt because they broke the law, killing walkers. And we get a glimpse, and this is pretty straight out of the comics, the governor's kid. Except the governor's kid in the book was more Joffrey age, like more young looking. They aged this fucker up. Maybe they aged him up because of some of the stuff that's coming. Maybe it would have been too hard for people to see a kid behave this way, even though I think it'd be more natural to cast a kid in this, because kids are fucking narcissists without, any kind of compunction, many of them. Like, they don't have that thing that stops us, the filters and things. And I'm not saying every kid's like this, but a lot of them are. I think it would have been easier to cast a kid, but I think maybe it would be less palatable. So they just throw in some snarky douchebag who looks like he stepped out of a fucking, upper crusty private school, and with a silver spoon shoved up his ass. And we find out later all about that, but he walks by like, look at the people over there. Like, Yumiko and her brother have their thing. He's telling her, don't ever tell anybody I was a surgeon. And again, people having conversations where they don't tell why. Why don't you want people to know that you're a surgeon? You want to know why they don't tell us? Again, fucking plot. They don't want us to know until they want us to know, until they're ready to inform us, even though they're telegraphing really hard why. Because here's the thing about the Commonwealth, right? It's that like, you look at the governors, the original governor from like season 3 and 4, and why his community didn't fail, or why his community failed. Because he was an insane, murderer. It was not going to hold. He was trying to pretend that he was building a community. He was trying to fool everybody. He had the beginnings of a new world with, enforcers and things and having the window dressing while in the meantime, he's a crazy fuck. The Commonwealth brought back the old world. So the world fell, and they decided to bring it exactly back, basically, and even bring back some of the even older shit. Because we're talking like class system from the ground up, like from like where you couldn't get past what you were, who you were. We're talking, I don't know if the caste system is the right term to use, but basically you don't get to rise above your class at all. You have to stay in your lane. Like he's kind of like telling her, you've got it good. You were good at being a lawyer. I don't want that. But again, they don't let him say why. But we can see. And how this really gets shown is when Eugene goes to protect, to save Milton's kid. We don't know it's Milton's kid, but I mean, comic book people know this is Milton's kid. And the way the kid reacts to the guy, the man, I want to say kid because of the comic, but the man who is saved in his reaction to it. Who do you think you are? And it just that when somebody says, do you know who that is? That's the Commonwealth in a nutshell. Why it won't work in the end. Not like this anyway. Because they brought back the old world. They brought back even worse things from an even older time. And it's basically saying that when the old world fell, it became a time for where we could, if you built things back up, you could do it differently. And these people are just doing it the same and even taking it a step back from that and making it worse, going back to an even worse time in society. We don't get to see Pamela Milton in this episode, again, dragging that out too, this big reveal that's going to happen in probably episode 8. She's played by one of the actresses from The Boys. She plays the one that always had led Billy Butcher's like unit back in the old days. Sorry, there's a lot of noise in the background, so I'm very distracted trying to keep my thoughts together. So we've also got Lance Hornsby looking for favors, looking for people to, like, he's the player behind the scenes. I think he's the guy who's going to be trying to make power plays behind the governor's back. He's that kind of guy. I love how he's played, though. He's got all the right kind of sleaze. Because he's like blackmailing Eugene for info on Alexandria. And we find out, like Ezekiel's sicker, but he gets some help. But again, everything is like just real shady at the Commonwealth. Everything is under the surface except it's not really that hidden. And it seems like everybody's just keeping their mouths closed because they have the world back. They have things that they didn't have. They get to dress up in suits and take showers and put on makeup and whatever the fuck. But that's basically what the comic was saying and what the show is saying is, if you can bring the world back, should you? And honestly, I think that if you had the chance to make a better world, this is it. And this place is just trying to get back to the way things used to be, and it ain't working. And it's not working. Our world, it's not working. So it's definitely not going to work in the fake ass Walking Dead world. So that's episode 11, Broken Promises. Episode 7. Jesus Christ, 7:43 in the morning. Sorry, it's always early when I record these. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Normally, this is where I'd offer to give you guys a better memory if you didn't like this, but I'm tired and I need some breakfast, so I don't feel like looking up something clever and shit to do this morning. So, and seeing as how, I don't get like 1 million views, I'm like, it's okay, take a break. We'll do one next week. So, Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next week for episode 8, and then we won't see you again for The Walking Dead till 2022. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully we get Reapers resolved. Hopefully we get Pamela Milton and more understanding. So hopefully, oh, and but by the way, when Eugene punched the governor's kid, that was fucking tight. When did like Eugene is becoming a really, really more solid character than he ever was in the comics, and he was always solid in the comics because he knew how to get shit done, but he was also a real creep in other ways. So Eugene on the show is another way that they've improved, just like Princess and Ezekiel. I think all those characters have been improved greatly. So anyway, I got to stop talking. I'll see you next week. Bye.